these units, what it does, it powers the motor and swings it back into a position, right? So it does a couple rotations, it doesn't unlock it, it just does a few rotations and then puts it back in a ready position. On these units, if it doesn't get in a ready position, the safe shuts down. All of these units are designed that they can only open up one drawer at a time. Well, these, if any of these locks are not in the ready position, it will not allow the unit to work. The majority of the time, what happens is that over a period of time, with that unit spinning and spinning down, that spring with those little eyes, it'll come off. If it's a bind in the drawer, it'll try and start pulling itself down when it unwinds the spring. So all you need to do is take the lock off, put the spring back in its place, put it back together and go.
That's acceptable to do that?
Very acceptable. I would prefer you do that than change the lock.
Oh, really?
So, you know, the easy thing is to replace the lock. The locksmithing part and the technician part is solving the problem, putting it back together and knowing that you have a good lock. You can charge me the same, right? I'd just rather see you service the lock and know, hey, this was the problem. Because if all I do is replace a lock and put another lock in, did I really do anything?
No.
No, no. Pull the lock apart and put it back together. I would prefer everybody do that. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you do that. It's very rarely do we have a bad lock. When will the motor not work? Okay, so once you've done what you're supposed to do, once you've done it, before you screw it all in, try it in your hand. Let it cycle a couple times, make sure it works. If it does not unlock with it in your hand, then you have a bad lock. And I'll tell you something about these locks. They're a great lock, and there's too much vibration on them, okay? And because it has to be perfect, it'll shut the system down. Okay, so if that bolt is not swinging in a proper position, there's two micro switches that we're looking for, locked. So we want to mechanically ensure that it's locked, and then we send a status signal off of another section of this swing bolt. One's on the armature, and then one's on the swing. So we want both. We want to know that the armature did go all the way up, and we want to know that the swing bolt's in a position. These locks, I set them in my office and put them on a cycler with pressure and put the lock in, and the lock ran for almost 4 months before it failed. It would just cycle, and it would pull and set, pull and set. I plugged it in, and for almost 4 months that lock lasted repeatedly, 24 hours before it finally shut down. When it happened, the little machine, the solenoid that pulled the swing bolt, it broke. So we had to replace it. So it's a good lock. They're a pain in the butt. I'll kid you not, they're a pain in the butt. But you can service these locks. And I would highly recommend you servicing the locks. Keep the spare locks that we send you if you're on a consignment program with them. Just keep them in the event the lock doesn't work. If that lock works in your hand, I promise you when you put it back right here, it's going to work.